What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again. And this time we are here with Sami of Velvets. Great to be able to talk with you today. Thanks for being here.
Thanks you. It's happy to be here and happy to be doing this. It's the first time for any of our interviews
Oh, really?
with the video. So yeah, it's the first time
I'm the
for any of
first
this kind of
Velvets
stuff.
interview ever, right?
Yes, you are. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Don't forget me. Don't forget me when you're playing stadiums one day.
For sure.
Yeah. Uh, but we have the debut self-titled album coming out. Was there kind of like a preconceived idea of what you wanted this album to sound like? Was there like a set goal in mind, or was there a lot of experimentation to ultimate that led to the sound that we're hearing on this self-titled album?
I'd say there was a lot of experimentation since we just kind of wanted to explore on a softer take on rock and roll because we used to do maybe a bit more like a hard rock kind of thing with our other band called Rockets. And this time around, we wanted to do it just the two of us with Sakke. And basically, just concentrate on love songs and like do like some softer songs, what we're used to. So there wasn't any set goal where we want to end up, just to see what we can come up with. And we came up with 8 songs, and we're pretty happy with those. So
Hmm.
yeah, have a listen, and you can choose. You can make up your own mind about it.
If you don't mind me asking, having more of a ballad-driven sort of rock sound, did something happen in either of your lives that sort of made you want to do that?
Maybe in a way, since I just got married this summer, and I just felt like I felt really good in the beginning of this year, and I'm used to like write lyrics about like darker themes and that sort of stuff, if it makes any sense. So it was nice to kind of just come up with all the good stuff in life and concentrate on that. So yeah, there was a lot of love songs I wrote for my wife to be, and then other sorts of just like positive themes
Hmm.
thrown into. So yeah, it was different for us as well. So it was a nice experimentation on that.
Yeah. They say ballads are like so cheesy in rock and roll or whatever, or oh, you're selling out if you do ballads. To me, I think rock and roll is supposed to be true to its emotion, regardless of what the context is. So if it's a slower song, who cares? It's still rock and roll because it's being true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree, and I think yeah, we're more used to just doing these like fast paced and really like hard driven songs. So it was nice to concentrate on actually the more mellow parts and do ballads and such, and like see what we can come up with those. So yeah, it was all in all a super fun project, and I'm really happy that we did it eventually.
Do you see yourself? I'm probably asking this a little far in advance. With the self-titled album still just coming out, but can you see Velvet's maybe sticking with that for future uh, albums in the future, or do you think you are gonna create something that's a little bit more faster and a little bit more groove driven?
I think we're gonna have the best of both worlds, so to say, because we like, yeah, as I said, we like playing fast and we like playing loud and that, but we also with this project we want to concentrate on the more slower paced stuff and the more ballad kind of songs. But now, like I said, we started with the duo, so it was just me and Sakke who played all the instruments for the album, and I just did the vocals. So now we have a band together, and we've been rehearsing a couple of times, and I can see already that it's kind of like there's more groove to it now with a band, and like maybe I think it can go places from there. So I'll keep it a secret what's coming up, but
Yeah.
but for now, yeah, we'll try to focus on the debut album stuff, and then see what we come up with in the future. Let's
Stupid,
see.
stupid question. But I know you wrote a lot of love songs for your wife. But are there any ballads dedicated to your partner in this band as well?
Not yet, actually, but that's a great idea. Why not do one for Sake as well? Yeah, I love him, so for sure that can be a one theme for one song.
It'll be like a cool little silly thing to do.
Yeah, why not? Definitely.
Yeah.
Just yes, spread the love. I
Yeah.
think it's good.
It'll either be a hit single, or it'll cause your band to break up. No, I'm kidding. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely.
yeah.
No, I think he'll appreciate it. he'd be maybe blushed a bit, but yeah, I think he would love that for sure.
Awesome. When it comes to like creating, I love asking rock bands about this because I was interviewing a Buck Cherry a couple years ago, and they say that playing a slower song is actually more difficult than playing a fast song because with a fast song, all you have to do is keep up, even if you stumble. But if you're playing a slow song, if you slightly botch a note, I mean, people are going to hear it one way or another. Do you find slower songs to actually be a little bit more challenging than playing, a more groove oriented and, a more atmospheric fast song?
Definitely. I think on the slower songs you have to focus more on, like for me I have to focus more on the vocals and on the singing and just kind of keep the rhythm right, because then if you make mistakes it's like people will hear it more easily than in a fast song where there's a lot of happening all the time. And so yeah, I think definitely they are more challenging, and definitely I'm more like self-conscious about my singing in the slower parts and in the slower songs, since it's more clean and more focused on the vocals. So yeah, it's a bit scary, but it's nice to take a step towards that as well.
Having more focus on the vocals. I love asking artists this, but like, do you sometimes have like all the lyrics written before you're singing the melody and seeing where things are supposed to go, or do you need to have like the structure and the melody in mind before you start putting pen to paper on lyrics?
I think for me, I need the melody, and yeah, like Sakadis does all the songs. So whenever he's finished with a demo version of something, he sends it over, and then I'll start thinking about the vocals and the singing melodies and like everything regarding that department. So yeah, for me, it's way easier when I first figure out the melody I want to go with, and then maybe take up with the theme for the song or the like lyrics or whatever. But yeah, the melody is it's a big help for me.
Have you ever had like the best lyrics ever, but then they're always like one syllable over like the arrangement of every song?
Yeah, many times. I think it's like yeah, that happens to me a lot actually. But it's something you can also like after you've done it for a while. I think you kind of well you get better at it. I think that's how I feel. It gets easier, and maybe you get more ideas you can throw in there, and also like different kind of themes and melodies to experiment on. So yeah, yeah, I'll leave it with that.
Yeah. Your sound has like a lot of classical rock influences. It definitely is a trip through time when I go back and listen to this album. But has there ever been any maybe modern day influences that are incorporated into your sound as well?
To Velvets, not really actually. I think most of the stuff I listen to myself are from the 70s or from the 60s. So kind of base my ideas on that. But obviously, like, yeah, we're living in 2021. So there's like the surroundings, what I see every day and what I experiment on my own. Uh, for sure, you can hear those in there. But maybe the ideas that I get come from the older stuff,
Yeah.
you know. But still, yeah, of course, like I go to gigs of like local bands and like more modern bands,
Yeah.
but still, yeah, yeah, it comes from the old stuff. That's what speaks to me.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who's interviewed over 500 bands from Finland at this point, a lot of them don't sound like you. I mean, do you find yourself like you're probably at mostly like death metal concerts when you're going to the local scene in Finland, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think there's like I can't really say what genre we play. I know we play like rock and classic rock, but we just wanted to do something that felt like right for us. So thinking of other similar bands at the moment, I can't really think of any. So it's also interesting to start playing gigs, which we haven't yet done because of all this pandemic and whatnot. And we just started out, and it's the first album coming out. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting seeing with what kind of bands will we be like sharing the stage and maybe touring and whatnot. It will be an interesting mix, I'd
Yeah.
say.
I mean, there's a handful of bands. I mean, off the top of my head, one of the rock bands that I know of from Finland obviously would be Santa Cruz, and but like, it's funny you mentioned that because can you almost like see yourself maybe doing an opening slot for like a Finnish death metal band, maybe play with Swallow the Sun or something like that.
Well, that would be really interesting, I'd say, to say the least. I, I would say, yeah, for sure, we'd play it, but then who would do the booking for us? I don't know. Is it gonna happen actually? But yeah, I mean, I like when there's a different style of genres during one evening at a gig. So for sure, that could be it. Could be like people would hate us, or then they would love us because it's so different than the like the main event
Yeah,
on
well,
that night. So yeah,
I,
why not? Why not?
I don't know if you've heard of this gothic band that's been taking off now. This band called On to Others. They used to be called Idle Hands, but they
But yeah, yeah, I have heard of them.
yeah, I mean they opened for King Diamond and like
Okay.
very different vibe, and it was very very well received. And they toured with like Gall from Gorgoroth and like played with like black metal bands. And now next
Yeah,
year
yeah.
they're scheduled to tour with Behemoth, Carcass, and Arch Enemy. So and people are
Okay.
very excited to
That's cool.
see them on that bill. So I maybe it can work. Maybe that will be like the new booking trend lately. Book a very soft band with the most aggressive bands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least it would make like a nice contrast between them. So I can see like why not? It's always good to mix it up a bit, I think, and then not just like stick with one like typical genre and just like do the whole evening with that, and then book the DJ that plays the same kind of music that all of the bands do and that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
why not? Yeah, for sure. Shake it up a bit. It's only for the better, I
Yeah,
think.
I think there's the best of both worlds. Like last night, I was at a concert and it was August Burns
Mm,
Red, Fit for a King, Era, and
mm.
like Moss of Flames. Those are all metalcore bands. Everybody who's at that show is there for all four bands. The opening band played
Yeah.
to a big crowd, so it works in that regard. But there's also diverse lineups where people like to go and see different bands at different shows. There's an advantage and a disadvantage to both.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now, having these ballad sounds, I've always what I find great about ballads is that they can be very uplifting. You mentioned you wrote a lot of love songs, but then there's also a lot of melancholy subject matter that
Mm.
goes into ballads as well. Do you find yourself maybe addressing some sort of personal subject matter or personal trials and tribulations, or even some darker aspects expressed into your sound as well, or are you trying to make Velvet strictly a more positive experience?
No, for sure. There's also the darker points of it and the darker sides, and I try to write most of my own experiences, so it doesn't really matter to me is it good or is it bad. But like for yeah, as I mentioned before, I usually go with the bad and the darker stuff because that's kind of I think it's more easy to duck up those experiments experiences than the good ones, at least to me. So now this time around, we thought that maybe try to make more like positive sounding album and something like a summertime album and that sort of stuff. That was like in our minds when we started it. But then again, like being Finnish, I think it's always the melancholy comes along pretty like easily. You don't really have to think about it at all. It's just it's in the Finnish music, and at least that's what I think. So for sure, you'll find that as well in there. So
Is
yeah.
it is it just for the lack of sunlight you think there, or
Yeah, well, it has to do something with the fact that it's the summer is just ending here now, so now it's gonna be like what 7, 8 months of just gray and pitch black and wet and snowy and cold. So I think that takes a toll on you in the long run.
yeah? But you got to admit that's pretty fucking metal.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I like the seasons, 4 seasons what we have here. Even
Yeah,
though the summer is super short, but it's still like I couldn't imagine living in pure summer like 24/7 around the year. So to me, it's great having this
That's what.
here.
That's why, unlike a lot of what New Yorkers said, I'm not moving to Florida. I'm staying up here. I need the four
Yeah,
seasons.
I can understand.
Yeah, yeah. That was actually really funny. I saw Deicide recently, and when they played in New York, they were like, "Wait, there's still people who live here? I thought you all moved to Florida."
Oh shit! All right.
um,
I was in New York. I've once been in New York, and that's my only experience from America. But yeah, I really liked it, and I think New York was super cool.
yeah,
And there's a lot of different like parts to it, even though we spent just a couple of weeks over there. But like seeing what I've seen, I'd really like to return, and I can
yeah,
like. There's a lot of stuff that I really dig, and also a lot of stuff that maybe I can relate to traveling around Europe and seeing different places in Europe, even though it's a whole different vibe, but still some something that recalls the European places I've been. I really liked it.
can you see yourself like expressing maybe sort of like you have these love songs that are very personal. You mentioned like a lot of the lyricism is very personal, but can you see yourself for Velvets? Because rock and roll always sings about partying and rebellion and fuck it attitude. Can you see yourself also addressing subject matter that may not be so personal, that maybe is more from the external rather than the internal?
Yeah, definitely. Why not? Like I'm really open when it comes to lyrical themes. If it's something that I approve of, the like kind of the what the lyrics are about, then for sure, why not? It can be whatever. It can be my personal experiences, or it can be from a movie, or some book that I read, or something that I've seen or heard, or yeah. There's no limit to that. So for sure, the theme can be pretty much whatever. It's just easier. The personal experiences just come to you, of course, like easier, at least to me, than something else.
Yeah. And before we go, that was all of the questions I had. I was just wondering, is there anything else with Velvets with the self-titled release that you would like to promote? Like, obviously, with this fucking virus that shall not be named. Obviously, shows
Yeah.
are shows are up in the air at the moment. But could we be expecting to see Velvets on the road quite a bit with the release of this self-titled album?
Yeah, definitely. That's the idea we're having. But of course, at the moment in here, you can't really play shows. Well, you can, but it's only for let's say 50 to 100 people, depending on the city you're playing in. So it's hard to do it at the moment. But I'm thinking next spring we're definitely gonna hit the stage here in Finland first, and then take the show abroad. A tour, a European tour for sure. That's where we're gonna start at, and then we'll see what happens after that. It's interesting times now to start a new project in these times when you can't promote yourselves with live shows. So we're just trying to get the music to as much people as possible, and then we'll take it from there. But for now, yeah, we're psyched to just go on the stage. So I hope to see you, all of you, next spring.
I'm gonna make a petition every time these politicians, these presidents or prime ministers or whatever, every time they have to impose restrictions, every press conference they have to promote every album that's coming out by a different band, just so.
Yeah. That sounds like a brilliant idea. Yeah, I'll support that for sure. Please take that forward and let's make it a thing across the globe.
Yeah. But thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Velvets. Be sure to check out their self-titled album. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.